Hello, welcome back. This is Charlie and we're at My Messy Fingers. This is signature number 4, but before we get started, let me show you what sheets we have left to play with. At this point, I don't know which ones, but this one. I know I'm going to play with this one, so go ahead and pull it. On the back side is this beautiful pattern. Should have one that has the mushrooms and the leaves, and on this side is this beautiful green pattern. And then we have this green, black, and white pattern, and on this side were a lot of cutouts. This leafy pattern, which a lot of the leaves, now I already cut out one of these, and I cut out each one as cards to slip into the album slots. And then we have this one, and I've already cut one of these out. If I don't use this, I'll cut the rest of this out. This page, which on the reverse is this beautiful pattern, and then this, and on the reverse is this. So that's what I've got left, and we'll be playing with a good portion of those on that last signature. So here's what we've got. You should have this pattern piece. I ask that you pull it and set it aside. So we're going to make a flap that's going to close, and we're going to use this. I did fussy cut out the hourglass, matted it on black, and then I've raised it up with some pop-ups. So there's a little bit of elevation there. We'll get to the rest of this a little bit later. And let's just kind of sneak right down inside here. I've got some of these out of order. Okay, here we go. All right, this is our base piece. This is what I'm using for the base. The reverse side is this. Now, as I've stated all along, if you prefer one side versus the other, use it. So this is what I'm playing with. And this measures at 8 3/8 across by 8 5/8 in the height. I'm going to use the reverse side of this, one of the trimmings. I liked this collage here, and we're going to make a pocket. So this pocket is going to measure 8 3/8 across. It will always measure the width or the height of the page, depending upon which way I take the pocket. This is at 2 3/8 in its height. And then I trimmed this to fit. And then I have one of these little note cards that I'm going to put on the front for putting little notes. And then we've got a magnet closure. You can put small photos in here or small items that you want to document. So they're going to go in here, and this is magnet closed. But then on the reverse side, I pulled out this tag, cut it out, mounted it, and then put a little black gem on there, and I'm going to put that here to kind of help balance this piece out here. All right. So let's go ahead and get this piece on. And I'm just going to line that up right there, bring it across, and there we go. And then my glue tip is unplugged. All right. Now this little guy here, get it apart. This measures 5 1/4 inches across, and then you're going to score it at 2 5/8. And it is 2.5 inches in height. And I'm going to put just a little bit of glue down here. I want to be careful how high up I take the glue so I don't close the pocket. And I just want to canter it off center a little bit. Oops. Okay. And now we're going to just kind of set this in here in between these two elements. Oh, I was going to use this, intended to use this as a tuck. Huh. Okay. I think I'll just go ahead and do that. I forgot. I make these ahead of time, and I do at times forget what my intention was. So you can put it on either side, or don't treat it as a tuck and go ahead and place it down here. I'll leave that up to you. All right, so let's get to our panels, because I want to get that one put in. All right, so this is your right side panel. This is going to measure at 6 inches across by 8 5/8, which is the height of the base page. And then you're going to have a 1/2 inch score line. And we're just going to sneak right up to that score line so that we can I keep moving it. There we go. And then we're going to come over to the left panel, and it should be the same measurement. 6 inches across by 8 5/8 in your height, and then you have a 1/2 inch score line. And again, I'm rounding the corners on all the cardstock and the pattern papers that fit in. Okay, so here I'm going to set these aside because I really want to get the next ones in here. So we have a left side and a right side panel again. So the right side panel is also going to be at 6 inches by 8 5/8. This time you're going to come in and score it at a 1/2 inch, and you'll score it at 5/8 of an inch. And because I want this gusset, this hinge on the top, I'm going to bring this right up to the 1/2 inch score line. And then push back on that just a bit to reinforce that score mark. Okay, the left panel is also going to be at 6 inches by 8 5/8. Again, you're going to come in and score it at a 1/2 inch, and then you'll score it at 5/8 of an inch. Bring your work right up to the 1/2 inch score line. Square this up. Okay, doing the same thing. I'm going to push back. Okay, now this piece. This is going to measure 4 inches across. Now I don't know if that's a 7 or a 9, so let's take a look. It is 9 inches, so 9 inches in length, 4 inches across, and then you're going to come and score at a 1/2 inch, and then again at 5/8 of an inch. And we're going to center that right over the top here. And this time, we're going to come up to the 5/8 score line because we want this hinge to now encapsulate all the work. So I'll show you here in just a second. So this is just going to fold right over. So it puts this hinge now on the top. So it's closing in around all this work that you've just added. Okay. And then here's where we're going to put some magnets. I'll find the other one. Oh, there they are. Now, it isn't really going to matter on this particular piece if you go left over right or right over left. The type of magnets I'm using, it's going to be able to go through. But if you're using the basic gray magnets, it's because it may not hold it closed because sometimes when you get that thickness in there, it loses its little potential. So I am going to put that there. They're wonderful magnets. Please do not get me wrong. But I'm just letting you know so that there isn't any disappointment. Now I'm going to just grab a piece of paper. I'm going to seal off between them. Let me get it down here so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to put a piece of tape on the back side of this. Make sure it's straight. And then I'll commit. And there we are. All right, let's get back inside here. Whoops, that one's going to go over here. Rounded corners go over here. All right. This is the piece I used for both left and right panels. So you will cut to fit. Be mindful of your score line so that you're not putting the paper right on top of it. And because the magnet is on the flip panel, I don't have to worry about on these panels. So I will just glue them in. I kept feeling like it was lifting up off of there, but it's not. All right, now I am taking some scrap strips. The back side of this is this piece here, and I am going to make a tuck that's going to be on the inside of this panel. We're going to put this here, and then I cut out one of the tags to put here. Now again, you can use any tag you want. That's entirely up to you. Oh, Jiminy's Charlie. Hold on here. This is 1.5 inches across by 8 5/8 in the height. And then I'm going to sneak up here along that score line and just lay that right in. And then we'll glue this in. And then we're just going to center this in here and glue, and I'm going to use my fingers kind of as my guide. And I'm just going to offset it just a tad bit because I don't want a bunch of stuff up next to this hinge that interferes with it closing cleanly. All right, so that's it for that side. Now let's move to this side. We're repeating the same pattern. Oops, come back here. Same paper. It's the same size, so it's 1.5 inches by 8 5/8, and we're going to make a long tuck. This was the element Dream On Little Dreamer. The other one over here on the left says, she's an old soul with young eyes, a vintage heart, and a beautiful mind. I thought that was kind of pretty. So we're going to put this one over here. Okay, so let's take... Oh, can't do that yet. I don't have this down. Now we'll put in the side pocket. And it still leaves you nice room to put in fixed photos or fixed images. Run it right. Oh, I think I got this one a little long. Well, Charlie. That's okay. That's an easy fix. So let me verify the length on this. That's just a little long as well. I'll take a little bit more off, not much. Okay. And then this one. Just want to make sure I didn't get any glue underneath there. Yep, I did good. Okay, so those two, this is done. This is what we have. So we're going to close these two. I got something interfering here. Oh, it's because I'm trying to close two of them. No. What is got this all? All right, now, for in here, I did the same thing. I only want the internal ones. So in here, you had this paper pattern. We're going to use it on both sides. And then I'm going to take some of the cards and we're going to make some little photo mats. So this one will come down here. This is a flip up. And then this one here is going to open this way. I just want to make sure that I am placing them correctly. Okay. Let's get this down. Now what I want to do is I just want to secure an edge on this one so that you can come in behind here as a tuck as well. So this is measuring at 5 3/4 of an inch, and you're going to score it at 2 5/8 or 2 7/8 is what it looks like, and it is 3 7/8 in height. And I'm putting in just a scrap piece of paper. Actually, it's the reverse. I lied. It's the reverse side of the leafy cutout cards. So this is going to go in here like so. And then this one, I'm only going to put tape on the back side of this edge. And then the card that I use is the one that says, starts off with grow. And I'm having problems with my eyesight right now, so I'm so sorry. I can't read what this word says. I think it's grow through what you go through. Grow through what you go through. I am so sorry. My eyes are blurry today for some reason. Okay, so this is going to go right here. And then you can see that you've got a tuck in behind here. And I want to put this here, anywhere, just so that it kind of breaks this up a little bit. I'm rethinking this. You know, I want to use this as a tuck, but I also don't want this sticking up like it is. So why don't I really quick like slip in a magnet here, and I can cover this or I can leave it. It just depends on, you know, if you put a photo there, you're going to cover it anyway. No, I don't want that. So I want a positive. No, I do want a negative. I apologize. This being last second, I didn't have a chance to properly place my magnets. Okay, so we're going to kind of close this up here just a little bit. Okay, that's better. Now this one down here, don't think I'm going to be so worried about it, because I'm not creating a tuck with this one. So it's going to open up against this, and it's going to come in here at a slight angle. All right. This one measures, oh, I've already done it, 7.5 inches in length by 2 5/8. And you're going to score it at 3 3/4 in the middle here. And I'm just going to put a couple strips of tape. Drop this down just enough so that this corner does not land on here, but when you open this, it's going to open up against this. And then when this one opens, it's not going to interfere. But this is the one that's got the tuck behind it. So this is the card that I'm using. It says Ticket to Anywhere. It's got an old-fashioned camera. And then I'm covering just one side. There's plenty of scraps. You can cover both sides if you want. I'm just doing one. Okay, so that's done. Now we're going to close this. All right, and we're going to repeat that same pattern. So we're going to have this up here and this at a slant. You can configure it any way you want, and I think I was going this way with it. We'll run a strip of tape on the back side, and I do want this one to close as well, so I am going to go ahead and add in my magnets now so that I have them on here. Okay, let's get this on. I put the magnet on the underside of the other one, but this time, because I know I'm going to cover it on one side, I'm again just going to close that, and I'm going to leave that magnet bare. And then the leafy tag that I used for this one says love across the front of it. And again, there's your tuck. And where did it go? Oh, there it is. And then we'll put this one on. Just so this got a little different visual where I'm going to canter it that way. Again, it's going to open up against this one. And this is the element, the card that I'm using on the front, the telephone dial with the word dream. And then I'm using a different colored pattern for the inside of this one. Okay, so there you have it for those. Now let's get to these panels here on the inside. There is this gold leafy piece, and you're going to cut to fit for both sides, left and right. Be careful of this 5/8 score line here, that you don't lay your paper on top of it. And then through here, through the center, we're going to make a band. Now, the reverse side of this, as you saw, it had that cabinet that had all the jars. We're going to use a strip of this to cover this here. And then you should have in your cutouts some more of these little numbered tags, and we're going to put one right here in the middle. This measures 1 1/4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And as I have stated in the past, please verify your measurements from the outside to just the inside of that score line. And then I'm going to eyeball this because I didn't mark it. And then 1 12-inch strip going in the correct direction will fit both sides. And then we're going to put this little numbered tag on here. And now we're going to move over to this side and do the same thing. And this is still at 1 1/4 inches by 5 3/8, coming right in front of that score line, going out to the edge. And these will create nice little tucks for your photos, and you can still commit photos to the top part and then tuck other items if you want. And I think I do. I've got to trim a little bit of this off. Now I'm going to verify the length on this. I need to trim that down just a smidgen. And then I'm using the other number 2. Now there were 4 left on mine. You can use whichever numbers you want to use. So here you have a tuck on the top and a tuck on the bottom, and that is on both sides of these panels. Now we're going to close these up, and now we're going to play with this piece. Okay. So what I want to show you is this. On this sheet, you're going to cut this gold band off of the top. And we're going to end up trimming just about down here so that this piece comes off. And then, as you can see, when this gets trimmed, you're trimming right straight down this line on both sides. So that when these go in here, that they will line up across. All right? So this one I'm going to glue down. And then this one over here, I'm going to tape down because I've got this magnet down here. Don't shift. I talk to myself a lot when I work. The papers never answer me back, but I have conversations with them. All right. And now this will keep this closed. However, we're not done yet. So across the bottom, we're going to make a couple of pockets. They're going to go, and then the reverse side of this, that piece you cut off all along the bottom, you're going to turn it over, and we're going to use the reverse side. We're going to make a pocket out of it. And then there are 2 of these butterflies. You're going to cut both of them out, or if you want to use a different embellishment, that's fine. And I'm going to put it right down here. So this measures at 5 3/8 across by 2 3/8 in its height. And again, please verify your own measurements from your edge to the inside of the flap here. And then when you lay them, if you have to trim, I always feel like it's better to trim on an end. So, and this has got a rounded corner, so I am going to set it here and walk it over, and no trimming necessary. And then this is just a cut to fit. And I'll show you in a second why I have such a contrast here with this reverse side of this. So this is going to go down here. And my intent is just to do the body and the antennae. Just set that in there. And then I'm going to press and fold up. Press and fold up. But I have a lot of glue here, so I'm going to wipe it off. There we go. And now we're going to do the same thing on this side. So 5 3/8 across by 2 3/8 in height. Start here on the inside curve out to the edge. And then I'm doing the same thing with this butterfly. All right. So there you have it. Now, here's why I wanted to use that. It's because this piece here has that floral pattern in it. So this is our top. And again, I did fussy cut this. I mounted it on some black cardstock. I've run a bunch of foam pop-ups, so we're going to put this here. So a little bit of height on this. On the reverse side, you have this piece, and that's what I'm using. The reverse side of this is that green, black, and white collage, but I want this because it just speaks a lot. And then I cut these 2. You can cut any piece you want. You can even change it. You can even use this reverse side if you want. But I wanted it to be somewhat the same. We're going to put a pocket down here. And then we're going to do this. Another one of those tags with this number. So let's go ahead and let's get this done. I'm going to do this in tape. This being a substantial piece, I don't want to have to really tear it apart if I've got to adjust a magnet. And then this pocket measures 4 by 3. I was such a good girl. I wrote that down. Right up to that score line. And then again, you can use any scrap piece you want to cover the bottom of this if you don't like the repetitive look. Oh, come here, quick. Right on my score line. I don't want that. And I'm just putting it anywhere, it doesn't matter. I just want the elements on here. Okay, so there's your pocket. Close this over. And now we'll put this piece in. Now I will start peeling off the backing, so bear with me while I'm off camera doing this. And then just set it right back in its little cubby hole. And there you have it. All right, let's turn it over. Let's get our wide tape out. And we'll get it mounted in the album. Three-eighths of an inch for middle support. Okay, and this is going to sit in here like this. Right to the end. And then making sure I've got it cantered in here correctly. Oh, I just about had a heart attack. I thought I put that in upside down. That would have been terrible. Okay, let's burnish and we're done. Okay, we are finished. Wonderful. I'll see you on the very last one. Until then, bye-bye.